And good afternoon. It is 5 o'clock Eastern. That means it's time for Let's Talk Personal, and that means I am your host, Frances Reimers. I hope everyone is having a wonderful week, a wonderful day. I know I have, even though I'm not loving my drink, as I was sharing with my producer before we went on the show. I'm not feeling the macchiato, but as a whole, I am having a great day, and I am totally stoked that I am here with you. If you'd like to join the conversation tonight, and I know that you do, you can do so on Twitter at LTP Brand Radio or on Instagram at Let's Talk Personal. If you'd like to talk to me, and you do, and I love it, and as people can attest, I respond to each and every message that I get. You can find me on Instagram at Firestarter CEO or on Twitter at Your Firestarter. So we have a humdinger of a show tonight. I'm very excited about it. A very fun guest. Normally I have basketball and football. This is a new angle that we're taking tonight, and I'm very, very excited about it. So joining me remotely from Arizona is former boxer and Trump bodyguard and current author Mike Susky. Welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great, thank you.
Oh, well, I'm so happy that you could make time for us, and I am so excited about your book. I brought a copy of it with me, so if people haven't seen it, here's a copy of his book. We don't hear very often that a boxer decides to hang it up and career change and then decides to write a book. So tell us a little bit about the book and what made you decide to write it at this point in your life.
Well, you know what? I never considered myself a boxer per se. A couple of times in my life, I lived boxing. I did very well. But for the most part, boxing was a vehicle for me because I lived really crazy. I lived on the edge.
Right.
Nobody had nothing on me. And I grew up with these guys in my crew. Mm-hmm. And so I just had a really, really crazy life. And I've been telling stories, I tell someone. And then so I got to the point where I was like, you need to write a book. So I heard that for about 10 years. I needed to write a book because I had all these crazy stories.
Right.
And then so I own my own business now. And I had a lot of downtime in between clients and that.
Right.
And I was like, well, hell, out of the blue, my dad was a genius, and both of us are patent and inventors. He's a brilliant man, and all growing up, he talked about writing a book, and so I just put it in my head, and then so I just did an outline. I did an outline of all the stories and all the different periods of my life I wanted to touch on.
Right.
And I just started writing, man. I wrote it like that. And it was so that's it. 80,000 words is the average novel, right?
Okay.
And I wrote over 160,000 words for my book.
And so, you alluded a little bit to you've lived a crazy life, and many of your hijinks are outlined in the book in pretty good detail. What is your favorite hijink story that you put in the book? Of all of the stories, which one was your absolute favorite?
Ooh, I don't even know. Maybe getting busy up in Mar-a-Lago Tower at Trump's. the time in my life where I was in a contest with I was on the U.S. boxing team in high school. Mm-hmm. My best friend one of my best friends was on the U.S. karate team.
Right.
Then all my other friends played college ball, so we're real competitive in high school.
Right.
And then so I don't know how it come about, but I think that I had sex in some crazy place, right? And then that kind of then the other guys were like, oh, and then next thing you know, we're having sex in the high school during school, in the bathroom, and then it just morphed into a competition, and then so.
So wait, you were trying to one-up each other?
Oh, yeah. It was a competition. On top of a water tower. That was really cool. On an island, out on the river, the Flint River, an island. Right. High school bathroom, that was number one. That was my winning conquest, I guess you could say.
Oh, my God.
During school.
That poor girl. I'm sure she's so proud.
Valedictorian candidate. One of the top athletes in the state, and she's a valedictorian candidate. And we got busy in the high school bathroom.
Yeah.
during school.
Yeah, yeah. So to give people a little bit of context, you actually grew up in Michigan, correct?
Yes.
And so tell us a little bit about what it was like in your neighborhood and boxing culture there in Michigan.
Well, I grew up out in Flushing, Michigan. It was a suburb of Flint.
Right.
It was a upper middle class suburb. All the GM executives lived out where I did.
Right.
So, it was like it was still edgy, you know what I mean? There's still I was on the US boxing team in high school and dudes were still starting fights with me. So it was still kind of rough.
Right.
But it was real nice. You didn't have to lock your doors and everybody left their keys in the car and what have you.
Right.
And and then I started boxing when I was 15. I got a black eye from a black belt, and then I was like, man, I need to learn how to strike. So I started boxing, and then I was in the hood, man. All the boxing gyms were in the ghetto, I guess you could say, and
Right.
that was a whole different ball game for me.
Right. Talk a little bit about that when you finally decided to go to those particular gyms. What was that environment like for you?
I was a tough kid, so I just fit right in. It was first time I went down to Flint, pal. I don't know how my dad did this, but I told him I want to box. My dad always wanted me to box.
Right.
And Ali is the reason why I was born. My dad had 3 girls and then stopped trying because after having 3 girls all year apart, bing, 3 girls right in a row.
Right.
Odds of having a boy are, slim.
Right.
So then he stopped, and then Ali had a boy after 3 girls. Had 3 girls and had a boy. My dad loved Ali, and he saw that. So
Right.
4 years after they stopped trying to have a boy, they had me.
Right.
And then so getting into boxing was just my dad was all for it. I was a big time wrestler. My dad was one of the best wrestlers in history, and he set a bunch of records and stuff like that. And he was a phenomenal wrestler. And that's so I grew up doing that.
Right.
Learning from him, and I tried to strike it out that black belt, and he gave me a big black eye, man. And so then I was like, man, I was way tougher than that kid, way tougher.
Right.
So then that's what got me in the gyms, going down to the ghetto, down on Franklin Street in Flint, on the east side of Flint, and I was a tough kid, so they respected me. So it was a good, easy transition. The Bird family. They were a legacy. Chris Bird, the heavyweight world champ, Olympian. Mm-hmm. They all were Olympic hopefuls.
Right.
And they all were ranked pros. And I fit right in with them guys. They were just like we're just like family. I love that. Chris Bird was like a brother to me.
Right. And so talk. You outline a lot of this in the book, which is great to hear this story. Talk a little bit about how you've tried to kind of move your boxing career forward through Olympic trials and that sort of thing. Talk about the trial and error of that portion of your boxing career.
I started when I was 15, and that's way late. So
Right.
A lot of people don't realize that. Right. So my third fight, I knocked 2 guys out in the first round, and I'm the junior middleweight champ of Michigan. Mm-hmm. And then I go to the regional box off, and I fight a kid that had 77 wins and 5 losses. I guess I was told he won like 6 national titles, and so it's a Midwest box off. So you have all these Midwest states, and nobody comes. It's just me and that kid,
right?
Because nobody wanted to fight the kid. The kid was knocking everybody out.
Right.
77 wins and 5 losses. That's crazy.
Right.
So, anyways, and I beat him. The kid fought a dumb fight, and he went all out trying to knock me out. And because I grew up wrestling, I had a real big neck, and I could take a beating, man. And so he got tired. In the last round, I just ripped him. And he got 2 points taken off for holding because I was beating him up.
Right.
And I win the last round big. And
right.
So, I'm automatically going to win that fight. Because if you get 2 points taken off, I mean, you're going to lose that fight no matter
right.
what. And then I beat him in the last round. I kicked his ass in the last round. And I still won on a split decision. That's how bad the kid beat me up in the first 2 rounds. And then so after that was just like, it was a takeoff. You know what I mean? I was going to be a boxer, and that was just huge for me. I went to Junior Olympic Nationals after that, the next week.
Right.
And I fight this dude, and I'm beating him up, man. And this is my 4th fight.
Right.
I'm kicking this dude's ass in the nationals. I
Yep.
break his nose. The doctor gets up in the ring, looks at his nose, and says, "Yeah, he can still fight." And so I'm breaking him down. And I get disqualified. We were fighting. It wasn't
Right.
a walkover. I wasn't like totally beating him up.
Right.
We're scrumming. It was
Right.
a fight, but I was definitely winning it.
Right.
I got DQ for slapping. It's only my fourth, and they're real at that level at the Junior Olympic Nationals. That's like the highest level you can get at in the in the juniors in amateur boxing.
Right.
And they disqualified me for slapping, which I was kind of pissed looking back now because I had gym shorts on. I had gym
Right.
shorts. I had these Converse high top tennis shoes. Yeah, I'm in the Junior Olympic Nationals, and
Right.
I got gym shorts and Converse on,
Right.
and all these my opponent had tassels on his boxing shoes and a
Right.
bunch of national tournament titles stamped all over his robe.
Right.
You
Right.
know, so I didn't belong in there, and
Right.
I think they're happy to DQ me. So I lose to this dude. I get disqualified. I had him knocked out. And then I had to sit around because I'm there with Chris Bird, and Chris, Chris made it to the finals.
Right.
So I sit around all week waiting for Chris to lose so we could leave and go home, and he wins all the way through there. Then that kid I had knocked out won the whole damn thing. That hurt so bad watching that. I was like, God, I had that kid knocked out too.
Absolutely.
He was just smoking everybody.
And so, when you look at the state of boxing today, kind of what do you think about the professional boxing world right now? I mean, the
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Talk about that a little
bit. It's
bit.
weird. It's nothing. It's not like back in my day. I feel like the fighters were a lot better back in my day because, like Wilder,
Right.
Wilder's athletic.
Right.
That's it. He's a great. Wilder has world class athleticism.
Right.
He's fast and strong. My God, if you see him when he gets excited and starts breaking guys down, I mean, he's like doing all this crap. I mean, do you ever see that crap?
No. No.
He's 6'8". He's just athletic. He has range. He's
Right.
6'8".
Right.
He's 6'8", and he's got long arms.
Yeah,
for 6'8".
incredibly long arms
You know what
if
I
you're
mean?
6'8". Yeah.
Yeah, if you were to take away his athleticism, he'd be an open amateur fighter would whoop his ass.
Right.
Easily. If you were to take away that athleticism, he has.
Right.
And then he talked about Ali. It just pissed me off. The other day he talked about how he thought his greatness surpassed Ali, and I'm like going, dude, this guy's smoking some crack, man. Ali Foreman would have walked right through Wilder.
Right.
Within one round, Foreman would have took him apart. Sonny Liston would have took him apart.
Right.
Frazier would have. I think Frazier definitely would have kicked his ass, but that would have been a little different. I think Frazier would have to work harder. Ali in his prime, or Ali at any time, would have just kicked the shit out of Wilder, man. I mean,
but what do you think about I watched the Mayweather McGregor fight, and there was just so much fanfare about.
I loved it.
Did you?
I loved the whole damn thing.
I thought after all of the fanfare, I was like, But you loved it?
Right? It was a payday. It was nothing but a payday.
Right.
It was entertainment.
Right.
And the thing was, McGregor fought way better than I ever thought he would. I mean, he impressed me hand over fist.
Right.
And then he took Mayweather fought backing up his whole life.
Right.
At lightweight, he was a monster. Mayweather at lightweight was a monster. He's going to kick your ass.
Right.
But as he got heavier, he's smart. I don't consider Mayweather a real fighter.
Right.
I consider him a very smart man.
Right.
And as he got heavier and the guys got hit harder, he didn't get hit.
Right.
Man, he did not get hit.
Right.
And he fought backing up. He'd suck you into counter punches, and tie you up and do all that jib jab crap. And so McGregor made Mayweather come to him.
Right.
McGregor's got a reach, incredible reach. And that is such, when you have a reach with speed, that is such a big one-up, you know what I mean? It gives you so much more potential.
Right.
And so that really threw Mayweather off. And then you watch the end of that fight, Mayweather just had his hands up walking McGregor down, and Mayweather's never done that.
Yeah,
way.
But I think his wisdom inside the ring ultimately paid off because Mayweather knew just to wear him down and let him just keep going until he absolutely, you know, like a toddler, just let him have the fit and wear himself out, and that was that. But it is interesting because when I was growing up, of course, the biggest thing ever was Mike Tyson, and I think every kid in my school had Mike Tyson's Punch Out, and that to me was kind of the pinnacle of boxing and kind of the pinnacle of that sport. I know other people, don't tweet at me, folks, like, don't tweet at me. Other people will feel differently, but how do you feel that the sport has evolved from like when you were boxing to like Mike Tyson's day to what we have presently going on?
Well, boxing's a lot weaker just for the mere fact no kids are doing it.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's hardly, like back when I was fighting amateur, I had to fight to get out of Michigan.
Right.
Okay? I had to win fights to get out of Michigan, go to the regionals or the nationals.
Right.
Today, them kids, you having walkover wins. You know what I mean? There's hardly any fighters, so therefore you don't have a whole lot of competition.
Right.
Like Thurman and them guys. Thurman's a decent boxer. He's athletic. And he's not, but back in the day, man, Mugambi, Hagler, I mean, them guys are ripped what's happening today. They would would have just walked right through these kids today.
Right.
And, but it's, it's not their fault. It's just less competitive. There's hardly any, they're too busy in their safe places as opposed to, going down to the gym.
Right.
Shit, back before my time, in gym class, if you had a beef, they got the gloves out. The gym teacher would get for real.
Yeah,
the gloves out.
That's not uncommon.
And then way back before that, every other guy boxed. Every other guy boxed. They grew up, fighting, boxing. Dean Martin was a boxer, man.
Right.
All of them. Sammy Davis Jr. was a boxer.
Yep.
And so yeah, it's just less competitive. It's just how it is,
Right.
And then on a political side, they're just a bunch of snowflakes, man. It scares me. It scares me looking at these kids today.
Right.
What could be in the future? Hopefully, and then, back in the '60s, they said the same thing.
Right.
And then every generation they complain about the next one coming up, but.
Right.
This is like really scary shit, though. This is like a whole new different dynamic of kids being little pansy asses. Simply put.
I think a lot of sports are experiencing great shift. I mean, boxing is experiencing a shift. Baseball is experiencing a great decline amongst African American kids being interested in the sport. Obviously, we all know the trials and tribulations that's going on with football right now, and parents no longer allowing their kids to participate in tackle football and that sort of thing. But I think there is a drastic shift in sports, and I definitely can see how boxing is paying a price to the change in how our kids are being raised. So that'll be an interesting thing to keep a watch on. But one thing that struck me in your book that I thought was interesting is that your personal mantra is helping people with greatness in themselves. And so how did you come about that, and what does that actually mean to you?
Well, like my daughter has a gift.
Right.
There's really long legs. And I had short legs. I'm
Right.
like stubborn. I had short arm. I had the shortest reach in the cruiserweight division.
Right.
And my daughter, so I took my daughter out running last night, and it's amazing. She sprinted a quarter mile around that track. She's 9 years old.
Right.
And she wasn't even out of breath. She
Right.
has these beautiful long legs. Oh my God, she's going to be in the Olympics. I'm telling you, this kid has a gift. So I mean, it's recognizing your gift. You know what I mean? If like back in the day in football, if you're a lineman and you weren't 6'2" or to 6'5",
right,
and you didn't weigh 270 on up,
right,
they didn't even look at you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and there's a reason why, because that's a big advantage when you are 6'4" and you weigh 280.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And no matter how great you are, if I'm weighing 220 and I'm 6 foot,
mm-hmm.
I'm way behind the 8 ball.
Right. Right.
So So I guess it's finding what you can be great at,
Right.
and then being great at it.
Right.
Boxing wasn't my sport. Wrestling was.
Right.
And after I got beat up by a black belt, I quit wrestling to concentrate on boxing because I was so successful early.
Right.
And I regret the hell out of that.
Right. Right.
I could have been one of the greatest cage fighters ever. I kept wrestling and boxing.
I mean, you can always go back into it, right? Or is that time past?
I'm so busted up. I had over 100 fights and running. The running was the worst. Track. I ran track and cross country to be competitive.
Right. Right.
My first time at Olympic camp, I got embarrassed off on the run. Right. Running's a big deal at the Olympic Center with boxers.
Sure.
We're very competitive. Boxers are really competitive.
Right.
And I got slaughtered at the first run at my first Olympic camp. And I was so embarrassed, man. Then I started running track and cross country in high school.
Right.
And then by the end of my tenure at the Olympics, I was kicking everybody's ass on the run.
I hate running. I see no point in running. It serves no purpose. I hate it. I hate running.
You're a boxer. If you're a boxer, you got to run.
I will do anything to get, even though I've run a half marathon, I will literally do anything to get out of running. It's just, I get so bored. It's so boring to me. But I hear you. I hear you about needing to do it. Obviously, it builds up stamina. Boxers need stamina. That's very, very important. Another key aspect of your book that's outlined in great detail is a period of your life when you served as a bodyguard for now President Trump. Talk a little bit about how you got that and some interesting little tidbits from that little period of your life.
Well, I just missed the '92 Olympics. I fought in the National Olympic Trials. I represented Michigan. And I lost to Freza Quindo, who went on to be heavyweight world champ. Right. And I won that fight. I got job. And then I went into negotiations with my promoter, Jackie Kalin, who was one of the biggest promoters, back in that day.
Right.
And I walked out in negotiations with them. I told it was kind of trite, and I told them to go. And it wasn't, we had a falling out, to say the least. And then, so I was dead in the water. I had nothing. And then I was told I wasn't going to be able to box in Michigan. They told me, you'll never fight at the Palace of Auburn Hills. That's the big one.
Right.
And they basically tell me, you're done. I'm like going, whatever.
Right.
So I was just partying up. And then my uncle called me up out of the blue. My uncle's head of security for Trump. And Trump was in bankruptcy. And all his bodyguards in Florida lost their guns.
Right.
And then so, like I said, boxing was something I did to back up my antics. I was crazy. I was the craziest mofo in the room, man. And I'd street fight. I'd beat the hell out of anybody. I was beating up college football players back in college. I'd slaughter them guys. And so anyways, my uncle called me up and said, hey, man, I need you down here because, like I said, they got rid of their guns, and he was getting scared going down to South Beach and that, and it got real sketchy down there. He goes, I need you, man.
Right.
Bam. Just like that. I had my car packed. I drove down there.
And so you were living in Mar-a-Lago at that time?
No. I was pulling 12-hour shifts, but I had a 19-room Victorian mansion in North Lake Worth. It's right on the border with West Palm Beach, right on Dixie Highway.
Right.
Big, beautiful old house. And then guys in my crew moved down. And then my life started getting real crazy again. We started acting up.
And so what was that time like? What was it like seeing Trump in this period of his life? What was that like?
Well, Trump was real, believe it or not, Trump kept his thoughts to himself. When I worked for him, I was always like eyeballing him because you never knew what the hell he was thinking. Right. Trump kept his. I know looking at him today, it's just incredible. It's that 180.
Right.
But back when I worked for him, you did not know what the hell that man was thinking.
Right.
And he liked his women, I guess you could say for sure.
Right.
And I saw him do some crazy things, and one night I had to save his ass. Some old boy, these two models come in there. We'd send a Greyhound bus down to Miami at the agencies in Miami, and the models would get on the bus. Then whoever the models vouched for got on that bus. So, you know what I mean? There's no, the buses were unvetted.
Right.
So this model brought her boyfriend up, and he happened to be a model too. But I'm sure they didn't invite the boy models,
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah. No.
anyways, so he's a big studly guy, and Trump, I guess, might have took his woman right in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the kid realized that his woman was staying the night, not getting a bus ride back down to Miami, as you're going out to the buses, he lost his cool and had some words with Trump.
Right.
And Mr. Trump said, "Oh," he goes, "Whoa, whoa, wait a minute." He put his hands up. I'll never forget this. He goes, "Whoa, wait a minute." He goes, "Anything you have to say to me, you say to this kid right here." He goes, "Mike Susky." He goes, "He's a national champion boxer and a national weightlifting champ." I never told him I lifted weights in my life. You can tell I lifted, but I never told him that. And I'm like looking at him like, okay. So I was a national champion. He goes,
Right.
anything else you have to say, you say it to him.
Right.
And so I laid into that kid. I said, "You better get your ass on that bus, boy." He turned around and got on that bus. But he was good. But up until that point, he was in Trump's face, cussing Trump out.
I mean, I can only imagine. Is that the craziest thing during that period of time? I find it hard to believe that that's the craziest thing in that period of time.
Well, Trump was straight laced. He never drank.
Right.
He didn't smoke. He did no drugs, and
right.
he didn't do it around him. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was Trump. He was straight laced as hell. That's for real.
Right.
I mean, he never cussed.
Right.
Never.
It's
never raised his voice. It was weird. I mean, he was like an army officer. I mean, he was like, fall in line. If you're like, I'm loud, and I wouldn't be around him. He wouldn't let me around him. You know what I mean? If I was like one of the socialites and that, the way I run my mouth, he'd be like, get out of here. So.
Right. So, I think it's safe to say that at that period of time, he was a lot more concerned about his overall reputation and what people heard and saw and observed at that point in time.
He was busy making his empire.
Right.
He was all about making money.
Right.
That was first and foremost. The people that come over, a lot of the socialites, he was selling them on something, whatever it was that he was dealing with at that time.
Right.
Trump loved the ladies.
Right.
I think he put money first. He's all about making money, business calls, talking to Joe Blow.
Right.
You know, that was first and foremost. Women, he loved his women.
Right.
And I seen him. I'll let this out. I seen him go into his bedrooms with 3 supermodels for like over an hour, and 3 of them.
I'm sure they were talking about world peace, solving world peace. I'm sure they were. A very in-depth conversation about solving world peace.
So his master bedroom was off the back. The nucleus of Mar-a-Lago was this huge back patio.
Okay.
And then he had one door. His bedroom had one door.
Uh-huh.
That was off the back patio. And at times he would go in there with a woman. Mm-hmm. And Mike was on the door.
Right.
Yeah, I was the main guy. I said, "Mike, you on the door." Then he'd tell me, "Nobody comes in." And then so my boss would come up, I'd just shake my head, and he'd just keep walking.
In all of your times of all of your experience in bodyguarding, what was the craziest thing that you experienced, or the craziest thing that you witnessed in your time serving as a bodyguard, just across the board, with or without Trump?
Nothing. It's Palm Beach,
It's true.
It's not like New York.
Palm Beach is pretty tame.
Yeah, I'm sure if I was in New York, I'd have some good stories, but it was in Palm Beach. I mean, see, it's not like it was nothing crazy.
Right.
One time we had a breach in the backyard.
Right.
We had trip panels all around the mansion, and you have a big board, and it would show you with you have a map on the board of the perimeter. Right. And some people tripped it, and so I'm running out of the guard check, and I'm on the walkie-talkie.
Right.
And I have a shift partner, and he went and hid. So I'm apprehending the perps, and my shift partner went and hid. He hid up on the patio. And so I apprehended the perps, and then Now I'm like, where the hell were you? He said, well, I was on the pad. I laid into his ass, man. I couldn't. He left me hanging out to dry. You know what I mean? Because you don't know if they got guns or whatever.
Right,
That
right.
was kind of crazy. But like I said, there's nothing big.
How many guys were there on your team as a whole? Like how large was his
Just depends.
security
Just
detail?
depends. 24/7, there'd be two of us
Okay.
on the premise. And then when he was in town, on the weekends in the winter,
Right.
just depending, it could be 4 or 5. And then my uncle was head of security, and my
Right.
cousin was a big time wrestler. And
Okay.
he was a phenomenal athlete. And we both lifted. You looked at us, you knew not to mess with us.
Right.
He's a big muscular guy.
Right.
And so we were me and Gary was my cousin. I guess we're the nucleus of backing up. If the stuff went south, it'd be me and him taking care of it.
Right.
My uncle was an MP, and I don't know if he's special forces, but I know he's a military police, and he pulled that for years.
Right.
And he grew up with my dad. My dad was crazy. My dad was like me. We had the titles. We're the toughest dudes in the room, and
Right.
my uncle grew up with my dad. My dad was like me, and he
Right.
read my book. We were crazy. All the Susky boys were crazy. We clear out bars. We literally clear out bars. There's times we'd clear out a bar. There'd be 7 cop cars out front of the place.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Check this out. One time, I'm at Churchill's downtown Flint,
Right.
and this big football, it was a linebacker,
Right.
started messing with me on the dance floor.
Right.
And so the song "Jump" by House of Pain was on. I'm jumping up and down. I'm just, I'm liquored up and I'm drunk on whiskey. And the prick started messing with me.
Oh Jesus.
I jumped into him with a headbutt on the dance, split his head wide open. And then that just opened it up. It was a big can of worms. We tore that whole damn place up.
Oh my God. Well, speaking of headbutting and injuries to your head, as a result of boxing and lifestyle, you've suffered, brain damage and have had brain trauma over the years. How are you identifying with the conversation around CTE and brain damage that is
they're
being
not talking about? They're all talking bullshit now.
Right.
I used to read a lot of medical journals.
Right.
And I read all the time. It's amazing the shit I'll read, and then bam, you're not going to hear about it. And
Right.
It's like this, like inventions, just in general. There's a lot of stuff I read, this innovations, and then bam, it's gone. You don't read about it.
Right.
Okay, years ago they did a big study on brain damage, and they concluded that at one time you couldn't understand a whole lot what I said. When my boxing career was over,
Right.
Right up here is your speech. In the front of your head, that's your speech center.
Right.
And that's where you're going to get hit, obviously. And that's why boxers get punch drunk and they talk, you can't comprehend a lot of stuff they say.
Right. Right.
And that was me.
Right.
And that was me when I retired.
Right.
Anyways, I've always had this thug voice, This is how I've always talked all my life, but it was a lot worse.
Right.
So anyways, I read these articles that said these studies that said if you elevate your heart rate to the max or more, like I can get way over my maximum heart rate.
Right. Right.
And I'm in pretty good shape. So I'd stay at that level. I just pound it out, right? I'd get on the recumbent bike or the stair stepper or treadmill, whatever. And I'd get my heart rate way over the max.
Right.
And they theorized that the massive blood flow that you will produce doing these exercises will go through your brain. You'll flood your brain with blood from the exercise and help develop new neurons.
Right.
And so I read that, and then that was it, man. So and then I was real big. After I retired from boxing, I didn't do anything for years. I lived in the gym and lifted weights, so I was huge. I was almost 250, 5'11", 250. Little chubby, but I was bigger than I was fat.
Right, right.
And I get in the pool, and I could, I had a lot of muscle, so I could barely swim.
Right.
keep afloat. And that's where I figured out I'd swim.
Right.
I'd swim over a mile straight. I was a big dude, man.
Right.
That was like killing me. My heart rate would go up, and I wasn't tearing up my joints running or doing stupid
Right.
shit like that.
Right.
So I lived in the pool, and eventually I started talking better. I started
Right.
feeling better. I started remembering shit. My short-term memory it's not great, but
Right.
it was a lot worse, and I made it a
Right.
lot better.
Right.
And I talked a lot more coherent, if you can believe that. And everything just got better, man.
Right. Well, the NFL community is getting, very hyper focused on CTE in large part because a lot of the players have stepped forward and want more information on this. Why do you think that the boxing community has not been as interested in this, or has not talked about it with the level of interest that we've seen in other sports?
I think in football you can do something about it.
Right.
Okay, like the hits.
Right.
The helmets.
Right.
What are you going to do with it in boxing? How are you going to stop? How are you going to stop that in boxing? You can't.
Right.
You're hitting somebody in the head. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's no way around it. So why would you? You know what I mean? It's a no-win situation. Now you just don't talk about it. It's a given. All fighters, especially ranked fighters, all fighters that were ranked or world champions are going to have brain damage to a certain extent.
Sure.
You can't go through your life. You have to live boxing.
Right.
To be a world champion, you have to live that.
Right.
Okay. You have to have a shitload of fights, a lot of sparring.
Right.
You're gonna get hit.
Right.
And you're gonna get brain damage.
It's
just a question of how much are you willing to take?
Right.
That's the question.
Well, yeah, I mean, getting hit in the head in boxing is pretty much unavoidable. But there is. I'm just surprised that boxers have not stepped forward, or that commissions have not stepped forward and said, okay, if you've had so many concussions, you can't box anymore. You're done.
They not so much that, but they'll your record, if you get knocked out, like say 12 times in a row or 20 times in a row.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're done.
It has to be egregious though. I mean, like really, really bad.
Right.
For them to pull you out, but that does happen.
And then, go ahead.
So different. Like I said, there's not a whole lot. I mean, other than making the gloves bigger,
right.
And then so you'll ruin the sport basically.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. It would never be the same. But in addition to cutting off, when maybe lowering the standards so people aren't getting as many concussions, or I'm really surprised that former boxers are not doing what a lot of pro football players have done, which is seeking compensation for the damage done to their bodies. I don't know how that would be comparable across one industry from the other, but I just find it interesting that more former boxers are not stepping forward and saying, yes, it's unavoidable, but what can we do as a boxing community to make sure that we're, providing education and giving former boxers resources in order to, look at all the things you had to do to get yourself back to, a functional level.
They need to talk to me. Some medical people need to get with me and find out what I did. Because I'm telling you right now, my speech was awful.
Right.
I mean, it was god awful, and I was banged up, and I lived hard.
Right.
And then the ring too. So I was the main sparring partner for 3 heavyweight world champs.
Right.
And I was a cruiserweight. I was nowhere near as big as them.
Right.
So I got banged down a lot, man. You're gonna take a punishment. Nobody's ever contacted me about this, but like I said, I know quite a bit about it. And mentally, I made a huge comeback in my life.
Right.
And intellectually and functionally, I'm way better than what I used to be.
Right. Well, talk about making a comeback in Arizona where you live. You actually run a gym. So talk a little bit about your gym and your personal training and all of that stuff that you have going on right now.
Well, I own a little trainermikesaz.com. I own a gym. And I mostly do, I teach some people want to learn to box and what have you.
Right.
And I tell people I'm not gonna like teach you how to box. You know,
Right.
I'll teach you how to punch. You know,
Right.
I got a little heavy bag and a double end bag and stuff like that.
Right.
I said I'll teach you the basics better than anybody,
Right.
and I'll teach you how to punch. You know, not so much how to box,
Right.
but I'll put you in the ballpark on how to box, and I'll mostly teach you how to punch. I'll teach you the science of punching,
Right.
and you know, a good fighter like. From my head down to my toe, I punch, everything's doing something.
Right.
My toe, my foot's doing something all the way up to my head.
Right.
And, you know, most people don't know the mechanics of that. And that's what I try to teach people.
Right.
And then I just mostly do weight loss with women, a lot of cardio, resistance training. Nothing crazy. I don't. I tore my body up. Like I said, after I retired from boxing, I just lived in the gym lifting heavy weights.
Right.
And because I boxed for 12 years, I just ripped all my joints up, and then the weights just tore them out. I had several operations on my shoulders, my lower back's crap. So I learned what not to do.
Right.
Right. And that's what I teach. It's not, you know, it's more important to know what not to do than what to do.
Right.
In my eyes.
And, you know, as someone who is living this every single day, I know tons of people who are trying to be trainers and trying to own gyms, and this is a rapidly expanding industry. What advice would you give to somebody who is thinking about opening their own gym?
Well, don't do CrossFit.
Okay.
My wife runs clinics. She's a physical therapist.
Right.
Runs a couple clinics, and physical therapists and doctors love CrossFit.
Right.
Because it's endless patients that are coming through the door.
Right.
They got hurt at CrossFit.
Right.
Okay, so let's just think about this. I'm doing a deadlift, right?
Right.
A straight-legged deadlift. I'm gonna 300 pounds, right? I'm 300-pound deadlifting.
Right.
Why? You have to ask yourself why. Why do I need to pick up 300 pounds off the ground with straight-legged deadlifts? I mean, it's just stupid shit. And yet, it's mostly young kids, because you know what I mean? Because the joints ain't ripped up yet. And you're ripping your joints up doing that, period. End of story. Like on the flat bench. I tell no kid to flat bench.
Right.
Flat bench is, you know, it's going to be your strongest bench press. It's going to be the flat. So now you got more and more weight going into your shoulder capsule.
Right.
And you're just ripping it up, and the stronger you get, the more pressure you're putting in there, the more you're going to tear it up. Go to the gym.
Right.
And if you see an old person squatting or bench pressing heavy,
right,
know this: they start lifting weights when they're old. They didn't do that when they're young.
Right.
Because everybody that lifted weights growing up lifting weights and did that shit when they're young ain't doing it when they're old. They're getting hurt. Every one of them.
Right.
You'll never see an old guy bench pressing heavy that's been doing that all his life. It ain't gonna happen. You get hurt. The body's ain't made for it.
Yeah, I'm definitely not any authority on what you should do at the gym. My brother, bless his heart, he's tried to educate me on what I should be doing at the gym. It just does not penetrate through my head. Fitness is not my jam.
Okay, listen, I'm gonna give you the Hollywood secret.
Okay.
I'm working out, losing weight.
Okay.
First thing in the morning on an empty stomach, do your cardio.
Okay.
You'll burn up a lot more fat.
Okay.
In the morning on an empty stomach, if there's a Hollywood secret, it's that right there. Cardio in the morning on an empty stomach.
Okay.
You're gonna burn up way more fat.
I'm partly there. You know, I go to the gym first thing in the morning and I do my little stair steps.
No. Do you eat before you go?
No.
There you go. That's good. Yeah. Okay, you're good. Off to a good start.
But I eat sugar and I drink a lot of booze, so that probably isn't helping me, right?
Well, the sugar part, I'd say no. The booze just depends. I mean, if you're drinking like diet and rum, like diet Coke and rum, I don't think it's that bad.
No. We're talking like a bottle of wine every other day kind of consumption here. Like,
that's not good.
Yeah, I know. I know, but
No bueno.
What am I gonna do?
No wine. Too much sugar.
I love me some Malbec. I can drink it all day long. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
I
I'm gonna have
drink
some right
Gallo
after the
Sweet
show.
Red.
I'm gonna go
Drink
have
Gallo
some.
Sweet Red like you wouldn't believe.
What's
I work
that?
out a lot. So.
What's that?
Gallo Sweet Red wine.
Like the Gallo Brothers?
Wine, Sweet Red flavor.
Is it the one in the jug?
No, it's a bottle with the cork, and you pop the cork, and got my wine, and
there we go.
I'm not a wino, but my old man was a wino, man. He'd come home and he'd drink this sugary. My old man worked. He was a worker. That son of a bitch would work 15 hours a day.
Right.
Come home, and then he'd come through the door. His body was wrecked. He ruined his body. He was a construction electrician.
Right.
Pass out on the living room floor. You know, the wood floor would make his back feel better.
Right.
As soon as he come home, he'd pass out on the wood floor, lay there for maybe an hour or whatever, sleeping.
Right.
Then get up and drink his bottle of wine. then, then fall asleep. After that, get up and do it again.
I feel him on this. I feel him.
Yeah.
So now that you have your gym, your book, all of these things, you are now making your way into the wide world of social media. You have your Twitter account, you have your Instagram account. What do you think about this crazy world of social media, and how are you making your way through this now that you have a book to promote and your appearances and everything that you've got going on here? What do you make of all of this craziness?
I'm taking acting classes now at Casablanca. I'm not big on. I'm gonna get into movies, honey. I want to be the best. I'm gonna be the best heavy ever. I'm gonna be the best stuck. I'm gonna look at you like this. Nobody's gonna out asshole me, man. I'm gonna be the best. I'm gonna be a Gambino. You hate me? Be a Gambino. I'm going to, like I said, that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
Be a Gambino. I'm not a big. I get on Facebook. That's about the gist of it. Maybe a little YouTube.
Yep.
Twitter, I hardly ever get on.
Right.
I'm old school, I guess. I do get on Facebook a little bit. I mean,
you love Facebook. That's
whole different dynamics.
Right.
The reason why I like Facebook is I got these buddies, Josh Riley and some boxers back home, Andy Susky. Got these dudes. We just talk shit all day. We rip on each other. Just talk smack all day on Facebook.
And so you just think it's easier for you to use Facebook, or that's just where your crew just happens to be?
Both.
Okay.
I'm not, like I said, I'm not a big tech guy. I can figure some stuff out.
Right.
And I can figure out how to get on Facebook and do all that, and then talk crap on there. And then, so that's about it. And mostly it's Facebook.
But I mean, you have this great book out there and you got to promo it. Are you trying to get a little more comfortable online, especially if you keep doing interviews or you're going to have to be more on social media? Are you trying to figure out kind of where your comfort level is with it?
Yeah, I'm getting there. It's different. And but like I said, I'm trying to get into movies, man. I got been going to Casablanca acting school and that's what I'm really concentrating on. So I want the money. Give me the money. Give me a cabin somewhere, and I'll be happy. Give me my coffee and a newspaper. I'm a simpleton, man.
Yeah.
Give me coffee and a newspaper. I'm in heaven.
I'm very interested of what happens at acting school. What do they teach you at acting school?
Well, you have to go through the whole gamut. I have to do runway. They got a runway. You model down a runway.
Yeah.
You have to learn lines,
right?
Say the lines, interact with each other, acting, going back and forth,
right?
Then you got to learn the terminology, like the stagehand. I can't think of a grift.
Right?
Is it a grift?
A grip. Yep.
A grip. Yeah, you got to learn a grip, just stuff like that. You got to learn all the different language like that.
Right.
And, they love me there, dude. They love me. They're like.
I'm sure they do.
Oh, they go, we get you. I said, you give me a role where I can be an asshole, get in somebody's face, and just fucking need.
What if you have to give like a big dramatic scene? Like what if you have to like dig deep and give a very dramatic performance?
I'm a good liar, I guess. That's what they are. Actors are liars. You know what I mean?
I mean, I would.
I heard an actor a little bit ago. Acting is truth. I'm like going. I want to fucking slap him. I'm like, what the acting is truth? What the hell you acting is lying? What the hell are you talking about?
It's not.
These actors get full of themselves.
It's not lying. You're just morphing yourself into somebody else. You're not being yourself. You're being somebody else for a little bit.
I don't get it. I don't get how acting. How the hell could you say acting is truth? They're saying it all like passionately, like that was like legit. I'm like going, acting is lying. You're fabricating whatever you're saying. Hence, you're an actor. What the hell is wrong with you?
Oh my God! I did some acting growing up, and I can't necessarily confirm or deny that acting is truth. I think you just turn into the person that you're portraying, and you kind of meld yourself into that, and maybe that's your truth. I don't quite know where that person is coming from. That's a bit of a stretch for me.
It's a famous saying within the acting community.
Oh yeah, okay.
Rage. I can bring up rage like that. Rage. You give me a part where I can rage, be a prick, run my mouth.
Right.
I will kill it. I will kill that role.
Well,
nobody's gonna out asshole me. Nobody.
You should put that on a T-shirt.
You believe I was the biggest prick in the room. Like I said, I'd walk up and headbutt a football player or a linebacker of all the people. I did not care, man.
I honestly think that you should make yourself a T-shirt that says "No one is going to out asshole me." Like that's a solid shirt. That's a solid shirt. Maybe change your Twitter bio to.
You know what? I'm gonna become an actor and I'll wear that to like an award show.
maybe that could be the title of your next book. No one's going to out asshole me.
Could be.
By Mike Susky.
Well could be.
So
I'd be sending all those kids to their safe places, though. You know.
Well, you have TJ. Maybe TJ can help you, land yourself a great acting role. Or
love TJ, man.
Yeah, he's the best. So tell people before we have to wrap for the day. Tell people where they can find you and where they can find your book and where we'll be able to see you next.
Amazon. Small town boxer, Amazon, pick it up. Barnes and Noble too, but go to Amazon. YouTube, Mike Susky, Professional Knockout Highlights. That's a good one.
Yep, it's a good one.
YouTube, Michael Susky. I got different YouTube stations. I have, I got some boxing highlights.
Right.
Funny as hell.
Right.
There's some really good knockouts.
Right.
I make it funny. And then
you should provide narration to you should provide a version of your knockout reel with your own narration. I think people would really enjoy that.
I did.
Oh, you did? The one
just did that.
Oh, did you? Okay, well then.
I made it all funny as hell. It's hilarious.
And where can they find you on Twitter and Instagram?
Well, Instagram, you go Susky Michael, Suski Michael. They had reversed my name because I guess there's a Michael Susky in front of me.
Yep, there is.
And then that'd be my Instagram, I believe.
Yep.
And then YouTube is just put in Mike Susky or Michael Susky, and there'll be a bunch of crap come up on me. And you just click on whatever you want to watch. I have like home videos of me talking about. I made home videos of a lot of this stuff. That's kind of what got me into writing a book, because I made a lot of home videos talking about all the crazy crap I did in my life.
Right.
And that was like a precursor to my book.
Right.
And so I have videos of that, like home videos of like, talking about getting beat up in gym class, 8th grade and all that crap.
Right. Well, it is an interesting read. I encourage everybody to pick it up. Mike Susky, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It was great.
Thanks. And folks, of course, tune in next week as we have another very exciting show. Joining us next week, we have the host of the Sports Circuit, and whose name just completely just went from my mind, Sal Tuzzolino. I knew I was going to mess that up. That's probably why it went through my brain. Such is life. Tune in next week. We're going to have another super fun show. But in the meantime, you can always connect with the show on Twitter at LTP Brand Radio, or on Instagram at Let's Talk Personal. And of course, you can talk to me personally on Twitter at Your Firestarter and on Instagram at Firestarter CEO. I am Frances Reimers, and per usual, it's been a pleasure, and I will see you next week. Thanks. Bye-bye.